please welcome to BraveWords Streaming for Vengeance, a guy I've known for maybe I shouldn't say how long I've known you.
Okay,
This
my age keeps cropping up since this one's come out.
I think I'm pretty close to your age. Anyways, so BraveWords Streaming for Vengeance, Sacrifice. Oh my God, drummer legend Gus Pynn. Thank you so much for joining us. Dude, you fucking kicked my fucking ass on this new record. Wow. But you guys are really sneaky because fans have wanted to hear that. Like fans are like craving and and I know you got families. I know like there's you add in all the bullshit in the music industry, but you just deliver the goods. It was yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Yeah, so talk to me.
Fuck. At times, for 7 years, I didn't think it was ever going to happen. To be honest with you, we just seemed to be really happy, just playing together again. And Condemn was out, and we went through quite a dry spell for quite a few years. But I mean, Tim, we were bouncing around. We were getting to play um, just whatever we wanted to do at the pace we wanted to do it. Rob's still raising his daughter. I'm still raising mine, and we were pretty content with that. I wasn't going to rock the boat every 2, 3 times a year. They'd ask me to, we'd play, and they'd ask me to play live, and I'd like, yeah, for sure. Let's keep things going. Let's keep it rolling, and it felt good. It felt good after Condemned, and 7 years. He said that he was in a rut. I'm like, fuck, I don't care. Whatever, man. If you just love playing the old stuff, and Condemned was still fresh for us, so every once in a while we pull out different sets of it, and then we started getting the requests to play all of Forward Termination and or not so much, but more so that than anything else. So still mixing in all the old albums, playing live. Still could at times still feeling like I'm still trying to learn the songs the best way I can so that when I come out and I play it for everybody, they're fucking they're still feeling the vibe from 40 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then all of a sudden 3 songs come along. Comatose, Underneath Millennia, and Missile. And then I knew once we had those, here we are.
Yeah.
7 years after you know, after the Montreal show in 17, I lost my dad that year. And it just seemed like we were pointed in the right direction. And I was, for me, between me and you guys, to be honest, I thought it was only going to be an EP. And then the pandemic got in the way. That's the bottom line on that. So that cost us, how many years? Fucking 3 years, give or take, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the time we get to the end of 22, here we are. He's got way more songs, probably at 6, 7 songs. And we were thinking maybe an EP, just cram all that into something short and then put it out. Because the songs we had, you've already seen, we had a couple of them that were only 2 minutes. So those 2 songs, that's like 4 minutes of album. We could do 6 songs, and it could be a fairly condensed album. And then he started still writing at the end of 22 going into 23 before we went in and recorded it. So I was like, okay, but I'm telling you that stuff when he finally between me, you guys, and I'll tell everybody in the metal world. For 2 years after 2020, I went to Brian Shelton's place and I laid down a whole bunch of stuff that he had demoed for me. I gave it all to him in one fucking shot. I said, here you go. And he was like, shit, man, this is a lot of stuff. He goes, okay, let me just deal with World War V. And, we put that out just after the pandemic came and went. So once that happened, it was like, all right. And the next thing you know, he gives me a couple more songs, but just demoed. We worked on We Will Not Survive. I didn't think it was going to happen, to be quite honest. I struggled to play that fucking song, and I'm just being honest with you guys. I know he hasn't talked about it much, but between me and you, considering you're wearing that Perch shirt, I'm going to tell you that sometimes, sometimes, yeah, even an old vet like me can fucking struggle with some of the simplest things. And I'm just being honest with you. I didn't think it was going to happen. We laid it down, and and they were like, "Shit, see, I told
But
you."
but how?
I'm
Okay,
like, "All right,
there's a lot like most bands are just resting on their laurels and just like going back to their catalog. And I don't want to bring up the Gene thing about rock and roll is dead and all this other bullshit. Like there's like
I know."
a lot of bands just don't want to like create new music because it costs a lot of money and fans don't care. They just want to hear the classics. But then when you hear the new Sacrifice record, it's like, wow, I'm really happy that they are creative. They're beating the fucking shit out of me, which they started to do like decades ago. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. So kudos to you.
Listen, I listen, man. 7 years ago in 17, I fucking knew then that this is it, man. We got some shit that people are going to be like, "Fuck, this is," they're going to stand up and take notice. Was I going to be convinced between that time up until we went in and with Darius in 22 and then laid it down, and then we spent fucking all last year piecing it together, putting it all together, and then finally getting to this point at the end of this year. So 23 into 24, production, mastering, all that shit. Sitting on the album, listening to it since last June. That's how long I've listened to this
But
album. And,
like
and excruciating because I'm thinking to myself, man, fuck is what are people gonna fucking think of this? I At that point I didn't really care. I just wanted to put it out. I was like, I honestly thought at that point it was the best thing we'd ever done. And I'm not fucking shitting it. Not, and that's because I thought the songwriting was so good. And he had yet to really, I had yet to see him really push himself on the lyrics. I just had it in demo form, and he had certain things done vocally, and I was fucking floored dead, man. And this is stuff he's given me. It's like you guys are gonna ask me questions about Black Ash Sheets, same thing. All this stuff was given to me in demo form. I fell in love with it.
yeah,
Bottom line.
nice, nice.
And I figured, fuck, if it's that good and I love it, and I mean, fucking everything we've done, they've generally, I knew when we did Condemned, I probably felt the most out of place at that point from where I'd left off in playing Soldiers until I get to Condemned. So I'm terrified that what are the fans going to think? Can I still? They're not even going to think that fuck, man, that guy's lost maybe a step or two from Soldiers, which I can't say I did or I didn't, but you always have that fear.
But how do you create when half your band isn't local?
That's that's where my love of fucking going to see him play every two times a month until the pandemic always, especially when it come closer to shows, we'd play more shows, we play more times together, like leading up to the show in Vancouver in May. I know we're going to put in at least 6 or 8 good practices. I'm guaranteed it'll be 6. And by the time we get to practice 2, it's I can be honest with you and say that I already know how good we play the new stuff. It's just a matter of deciding on what ones we're going to pick with the guys, and then having it laid out for everybody so that when we finally play Vancouver, it's going to be special. And I want everybody to take notice as to how hard we play these songs and how well we play them. And that was the whole idea about recording it too, because I knew how tight and how fucking smoking it was. It was just a matter of getting it to tape properly. I was going to use my V drums if you want to know.
I want to know everything.
Well, they're sitting in the fucking room. So I said to him, I said, how about I use my V kit to record this? He looked at me in the eye. He said, no fucking way, man. He goes, I want you to rehead your kit. I want you set up in a room. I want them to mic you. and I want you to sit down and I want you to kick shit out of him and then do what you do and then we'll lay it down. I said, seriously? He goes, yeah, man. I said, okay, if that's the plan and we're gonna physically and mentally commit to doing this, I said, fucking right, man. I said, I'll go out of my way to make my drums sound the best they've ever sounded. And I said, I've got a plan on this one. I had one, Tim. I'm not bullshitting you. Uh, my snare was the key to my attack on this album. And this story has been told already many times amongst our core group. And I went in with a Ludwig brass snare that was I bought when probably 20 years ago. And I made the mistake of not putting it up when we did Condemned, and it was sitting in the room. I took a picture, and it's sitting in the corner. I didn't record with it. I just played with through a maple snare that I had bought. And this time around, I said, no way. I said, I can still go back and listen to that Condemned record and go, man, if I had a different snare, I might have been just that little bit happier, you know? And that's where this album comes into play. And I had that focus and that mental draw that would, if he was going to give me a chance to re-record and have another chance to record something for this band, I was going to make it the best I ever. My sound for me was I was going to prepare myself mentally, physically, and make sure that my kit was the best it ever sounded. Just to get to that story about it, when I set my kit up and mic'd everything and put it up, we only put one moon gel on one tom. Otherwise, the kit was completely perfectly in tune. Didn't have to gel anything. Everything was perfect. And then when he mic'd my snare and I hit it, as soon as I went in the room and played my kit, I couldn't believe how great my drum sounded. So for me, I right there, Tim, they're setting me up for perfection. All I had to do was sit down and play this album. They gave me 4 days, 3 songs a day. I was like, yeah, I can handle that. I can handle that. And at that point too, we didn't have, we kind of had 2 or 3 songs possibly to do as the cover, and we kind of ran out of time and settled on Direct Action and recorded that in like, I don't know, 90 minutes.
Dude, you're a fan. I see you on social media. You know what's going on around the world. That must affect your brain watching other bands around you. I'm not going to name any names, but like it's Sacrifice has like a heritage. And like, do you pay attention to what you've heard and the feedback around, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a question I would give to Lombardo at the same time, right?
Yeah, I knew. I mean, I've played enough live shows with this band already that to know that I already knew where our place was in the world. So as soon as people find out that we're gonna play, they feel pretty special about where we're gonna play, and I speak specifically when we finally went back and played Halifax not long ago, and how truly awesome and how well they treated us when we went to Halifax. So each time we've had a chance to, like last year when we had to play Baltimore, Belgium, and Oakland, each place seemed for me magical, and all I had to do was sit down and play our stuff as best I can. And I mean, the high coming off of recording this record, having it last year, having a chance to listen to it and really hone our skills last year was a pretty special year. I think for myself, it was probably the best I played was the Oakland show this year, where I've seen the playbacks on a lot of songs from that show, and I'm pretty pleased about how well we played live. And I'm talking as a band, how sharp we are, and it's I realize it's being noticed, and I knew leading up to the as soon as everybody found out that we were going to put this record out, I was like, yeah, the hype was. I've read all the hype. It's been amazing. I've actually been blown away by it. So have the guys, the amount of interviews I've done on this record, like for myself, has been stunning. And Rob's enjoyed the fact that I can take a lead on that stuff and talk about this record. And nobody's bitched at me once about how long the interview's been, what I've said. It's been nice, and I appreciate that from the guys. They're trusting me with being a voice and a face for this band, and I fucking love it, to be quite honest.
Well, don't worry, I'm gonna start to bitch really soon. I'm joking. Dude, the artwork, tell me about the artwork and the
Oh
packaging and
man,
how you guys like put this all together behind the scenes because the artwork's fucking crazy.
yeah, no, yeah, fucking. When Joe started finally finishing up his leads last March, I heard about when we started practicing for Maryland last year. Rob was like, he goes, "I've asked Kowalski to do the cover." And I said, really? And we're talking about Todd Kowalski from Propaganda. So I'm like, fuck it up, man. He goes, yeah. He goes, I've asked him to do the cover for this album. Well, at that point, we hadn't even named the album yet. So all Todd had was all the songs sent to him, all the lyrics, all the titles for all the tunes. So Rob prepped him hard, man, and just gave him the fucking material. So all he had to do was sit back and listen to the album, like he said multiple times since he's been interviewed about this one. Is he listened to it 5 million 5 million times? I'm like, it's perfect. And if anybody can know us and love us, when he come to this record, it would have been him. And what can I tell you, man? When I seen it for the first time last summer, fuck, man, I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. I said, that's perfect. And then they slapped the logo up on it, and I said, man, this is gonna fucking turn some heads. And how rich the red is, the sea of zombies, the the queen sitting there overseeing the whole proceedings. I think it's only fitting, right? But I mean, it's also it's like the title of the album. We didn't want to take away from it in regards to who wants. I mean, we could have called it Comatose and maybe based it on Missile, any one of those titles, but maybe it would have just had everybody mega ultra focus on one song. I didn't want that. I wanted everybody to sit down and listen to the 40 minutes of it and get our best product, best playing we've ever done, best, you know, best piss and vinegar, as I call it. That's what we are on this album.
Yep, yep. How have you guys dealt with the whole industry changes over time? Because we are both relatively the same age and we've seen a lot of different shit going on, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Everything's everything I from the way I see guys run their bands now, I find a lot of guys and a lot of bands do a lot of shit themselves. You know what I'm saying? There's less. I mean, with record companies, everybody wants a piece of you, but still the bands consider what we went through in the '80s and shit when we signed our lives away, and still there's an album in our catalog that's signed away forever. So it is what it is. Until you get it back and you get to control your own stuff, then you know, I personally like the fact that we get to maybe control a lot more of our destiny and how we do it and when we do it. I'm not much for having to be being controlled by a label. I don't know how this album's going to do. I don't want expectations and somebody saying you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm too old to be told what to do now.
But can you guys physically with all the like family and responsibilities, can you actually commit to any kind of like big tour?
Depends on the big tour. Depends on
Show
the
me the
band.
money, motherfucker.
That's right, Tim. That's what I want, man. I'm fucking man. I've been doing this shit fucking dual purpose now since you know since '06, man. I've been holding a full time job down, raising kids. Now my kids are all fucking growing up, and all I got to do is look after my wife and tell her ask her if she wants to go to any of the places I'm gonna play. and she'll either say yes or no to me. So, but I know her. If it come down to it, where it become a job going forward, uh, maybe she'll hate it. Maybe she won't. I don't know. I don't know. It's never come to that. But it'd be frivolous of me to say that I haven't gone to sleep at night sometimes and thought about, when Slayer retired in 1819, that, all their fucking guys that work for them come knocking at the door and go, "So, do you guys want to do some shit?"
Dude, I was at the Monterey Metal Fest. BraveWords sponsored it, and I'm looking at King Diamond with Merciful Fate, and like, wow, and with Pantera.
Oh,
So,
fuck you.
it's- right, so there's generations of kids that are finding out about bands like
So,
Sacrifice.
do you think,
Do
Tim?
you
Do you think they're
understand?
gonna?
Like, you know what I mean?
I know,
It's
but I'm gonna ask you. Do you think they're gonna buy it? I mean, I, I think it's probably one of the, probably the best thrash albums we've ever done. Probably one of the best ones that, has come up in the last 40 years. And, I'm being biased, but fuck it. I'm going to say it anyways. I really do. And I hope that everybody bites onto it. And, you know, from all the reviews, it's a 8 out of 10 on most reviews. Everybody loves it. They can take or leave maybe a song or two here and there, but uh, I got no regrets about this one. I'm happy where it is, what it is, where it's going forward with. I think it's probably the best 40 minutes we've done. I mean, everybody's gonna still, go, "Hey man, you still did Forward Determination, you still did Torment and Fire, you still did Soldiers, they're still fucking they did Apocalypse Inside. All these albums are still revered, loved, condemned. Everybody still loves that shit. Do they want us to play 2 hours every night? If fucking Noel Peters gets his way, we will.
Jeez.
He wanted 30 songs.
Tell me about,
I'm willing to split it up into 2 nights. 2 nights.
hey,
Is that
BraveWords
realistic?
would
I don't know.
support it.
You tell me if we could do 2 nights. I don't know. Fuck, man. I
I
haven't.
would love to have brave words to support it as well. So
I mean,
I got
I
your
don't know,
back,
man.
man.
For for me, it's like, I get it now. I'm kind of starting to see the way guys are discovering us for the first time, and there's still guys my generation. So I still think we're kicking down a lot of doors on this one, to be honest. I mean, guys that know us, like yourself, and it's like you've said, like we've got a cult following that's rabid, and it's been that way for a long time. But it's fairly enclosed. It's kept us busy all these years, supported us, and it kept us pretty happy. So I can't bitch about that. Is
Okay,
this is this album going to open up new markets? That's what sometimes I sit down and I question it. Is that going to happen?
dude, seriously, like a young kid, if they've never heard you before, it's still like a new release, no matter what
Yeah,
you've
it's
released.
perfect. Yeah, I know.
Right? Right? Let's talk, like, can we talk about some
Sure.
heritage stuff growing up with Toronto video and radio? We both grew up with all this shit, right? Like it's
Love it.
of course.
People people don't realize how important TV stations like City TV are to me. Radio stations like Q107. I don't think those guys will. I mean, maybe as now that this album is out and I'm making it public about how talking to you about how I've grown up, and for instance, what's really got me to this point. Those channels, that that power hour, that those videos by John Major leading up in 83, 84. uh I'm discovering fucking Metallica, Slayer, Venom. All this stuff is coming at me at a million miles an hour, brand new, fresh. And I'm already in love with Rush. I'm already in love with Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin. I could go on and on. To name Canadian bands that I've heard off the radio: Triumph, Saga, Chilliwack, endless, and then the endless products coming out of the United States that fueled my passion for music. and it never stopped. 79 on. I mean, people want to talk about that. Remember that Asia album in 1980, 81?
Yeah, yeah. Heat of the moment.
Yeah, that first one. Yeah, I fell in love with that, man. I try I sat down for probably a year learning how to play and playing along to that record. Some people don't know that, but I'm telling you tonight for the first time.
But dude,
And that was a big part of my maturing. And then my dad giving me signals in 81 or 82, the Christmas thereof. And then finally, I think it was 82. So it came out that year. The following year, I got to see Neil play for the first time. And I was like,
but can we step backwards because much
sure.
music actually gravitated towards one of your songs. How
Yes.
how did that happen, and what did
Oh,
that do for you?
wow, that was a big moment for us. I mean, we were Brian Taylor was and Brian Taylor was a big part of those for, like the demos, the recordings, the getting to hang out with him, going to the peddler. That was a big part of our upbringing. Just
Huge.
like the
It was huge.
it's just like City TV, Q107, all that rock and roll that was hitting me in the face, and then this new movement of metal that was coming at me, um, and then yeah, and getting a chance to go down and fucking hang out, feel the buzz and man, I used to remember like putting on like I think it was our generation that invented like the cut off jean jacket and the band patches all over the fucking thing because I remember I've had four of them or five of them in my lifetime, Tim. The first one I had done was Rush. I had the Starman from 2112 put on a back patch for me that I put over a jean jacket, and I used to wear that. I had Killers by Maiden done. I also had Fistful of Metal by Anthrax. And then the last one that I ever got and had was when I joined Sacrifice in '85. I was handed my very own fucking pullover and then the movement started, you know, the fucking baseball caps and shit. I went through all that stuff, and then I found going down and being able to go to Larry's Hideaway and
Evil
experiencing all that.
invaders.
Yeah, man, and all that stuff for us was a fucking big deal for me because you remember that Metallica show in January of '85, or you know when they played Ride the Lightning.
Yep.
I wasn't even in a band then. I was just one of those fucking metalheads wearing a cut off jean jacket over a leather jacket, and I think I had an Anthrax patch on then. And I couldn't get in that night, man. I didn't have a ticket. Nobody would sell me one. Nobody was giving up a ticket that night for that show. Not one. I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
So I'm walking back to Davisville Station from the concert hall. It's freezing out that night. I'll never forget how fucking cold it was because I was in my jacket, my tight jeans, and all of a sudden I passed this guy. It was probably about maybe 20 meters down from the Masonic Temple. He handed me, and I shit you not, he handed me a ticket. He goes, "Here, Sacrifice are playing the end of March uh, that year." So that's where it all started for me, Tim. I I went to Larry's Hideaway in March of the end of March '85, and I seen them with my own eyes.
Wow. Wow.
You know, that was fucking eye opening for me. I couldn't believe though how good they were. And then they had John on vocals. Then Rob only sang off and on, and they had Craig on drums. And I was standing in the back. Oh, you remember, fuck, you could be a 16, 17 year old and sneak into Larry's, no problem. I was kind of happy about that. But still, at that time, nobody knew who I was. Nobody. And then, except for everybody in my high school, for some reason,
Did you,
because because I had the Anthrax patch. All that stuff was that was the reason why I got that call and got a chance to do that stuff.
yeah, nice. Do you Do you think there's a Canadian Big Four that aligns with the US Big Four? And who are they?
Wow. If you're talking about our generation of guys, I say, yeah, there's Razor's always been there. Those guys, I used to feel privileged to open up for those guys back in '85. Privileged. I used to idolize how big they were, and I was like, "Fuck, man! I hope we could be as big as those guys." Like, they were signed to a major label in Canada, and
Yeah,
I was
Attic
kind of,
Records, right?
yeah, man. I was kind of like, I thought it to be fucking quite the cool deal, right? And yeah, and you get to that, and you're wondering, fuck, you got to get a chance, right?
I I would love to ask you a few more questions, but I on this on 70,000 Tons of Metal, I asked Scott Ian. I said I told him that my favorite Anthrax record was Fistful of Metal,
Oh yeah,
referencing the whole Big Four thing, and he said, Tim, we've done like 16 better records than that. So that's why I asked that question.
yeah. Well, I mean, for us, I mean, for me, I mean, because I play in Sacrifice, I'd hate to name off all the bands. I mean, us, Voivod, Exciter, like these bands, like especially Voivod and Exciter. I mean, I remember having Heavy Metal Maniac and Violence and Force and fucking like 83, 84, and I was blown away by those guys. The fact that Bueller could sing and play drums at the same time. They're a three-piece. They sounded fantastic. And yeah, and Annihilator have been there, and those guys, Jeff and those guys have been fucking massive fucking band in this country for a long time. I say there's probably more on our side of the border for the guys that came out of our generation. There's probably about five or six of us, and I think we all deserve that medal, really.
So tell
But I
me,
mean, can we compete with the Americas? I mean, fuck no, man. I mean, did any of us get as big as Metallica, Slayer? Fuck no, not even close. And even if you look at Death Angel and Exodus, who like
Testament.
they're still massive fucking bands, and they can
So
tour and do whatever they want. They've done that for years.
talk to me about Canadian drummers because there's also Gil Moore, right?
Amazing, amazing. Him, Neil, uh, Steve Negus from Saga.
Yeah.
All these guys have influenced me. Uh, Max Webster's drummer, Gary McCracken, isn't it? Him. Um, Even Reiner. I remember listening to him, metal on metal, the double bass stuff on all that stuff. So back then, I was gravitating to all these guys that were playing really good in double bass because you didn't hear it all that much. Just like hearing Filthy Taylor play it on all those early Motorhead albums.
Yeah.
The more of it I heard, the more I wanted. And then hearing Charlie Benatti play early '84 on that early Anthrax album. I know Scott probably doesn't think much of that one. He probably thinks it's probably like it's so far back, so buried that I've done so much better shit over his last probably 30 years than he did in his probably first 10, 15, right? And we're no different, man. That's like this album for us. I think it's our best work, and I'm just being biased. Maybe it's because it's a little bit more mature, and I'm a little bit more patient about my playing and the way we do songwriting now. I have to say yes. The maturity of it is evident for sure, and that goes for all of us. And I'm talking about everybody down south and all the guys on this side of the border still recording, still making great fucking music. I mean, has it ever stopped from all those bands that you've seen and I'm discussing today? They're all still playing. They're all
Absolutely.
still relevant.
I'm going to take a couple more minutes of your time if you don't mind. It's
No, not at all.
I'm gonna I no.
Yeah, go ahead. Whatever you
It's
want.
called the BraveWords Rapid Fire. Are you a Judas
Oh,
Priest
good.
fan?
Okay. What was that? Sorry.
I call it the BraveWords Rapid Fire. Just some fun questions.
Okay.
Are
No
you a
problem.
Judas Priest fan though?
Uh, Not as much as the guys are, but I still love them. Yes.
Okay, so I will skip number one, but who is your rock star?
Oh shit. For me, it's Ian Thornley. He's 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 my favorite musician right now. He's the biggest rock star I consider. On this side of the border, he's Canadian. I love everything he's ever done. If I ever walked in a room and he was standing there, I'd fucking pass out, man. So yeah, him.
Have you ever asked for an autograph?
Yes, Daryl Sittler at a trade show.
Oh my God, my wife is like the biggest Leafs fan. Anyways, really,
I swear to God.
when was the last time you actually asked for a selfie
Oh shit. Asked for one?
or had one?
Oh shit. Well, yeah, not taken to me. I haven't done one lately. I'm kind of
You're doing
I'm
one
kind of
right
feeling
now.
I'm kind I know, I
What?
know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I'm kind of feeling self-conscious, but I'm sure you're probably taking the opportunity considering I'm all blinged out tonight.
What do you think about the vinyl craze? What was your first vinyl?
Fuck. Um, I love vinyl. I was disappointed when it disappeared, and CDs came in. But then again, the one thing I used to have the crutch about is scratching CD vinyl all the time, and that CDs were going to fix that problem, and it almost did for the longest time. So I mean, I still have a massive CD collection. So I still love the craze. I still love everything about that part of the record world.
Your first concert?
Oh shit. Genesis, 1983. Just around close to my birthday. My mom got me a ticket for they just put out Abacab and Mama. And they did most of the Abacab for me. I sat in Maple Leaf Gardens up in the 300 section, right over top of Chester. Maybe two sections back. I got to watch the whole shit. And that really influenced me a lot about wanting to play in a band.
What's the Rush Neil Peart like that you can actually play, and what's the Rush drum track that you can actually not play?
Oh, what's always given me a hard time is I love Jacob's Ladder. I can play it to a section, and then it's just gets to the point where he plays it so fucking complicated that I can't do it. I can play pretty much anything off of moving pictures. I can play a lot of stuff off of permanent waves, hemispheres. I can dabble in that stuff. I've never recorded it or put it to tape because some of it I've never gone through a perfect take, and I'm very picky. So if I could do perfect takes of all that stuff, I'd do it, but I haven't been able to do it. He's impossible, Tim, to replicate to the T.
Where were you when he died? When you heard that he died?
I was at the house here, and I was extremely upset. I knew he was sick. I knew he was sick, and it was fucking bullshit, man. And yeah, every year as his anniversary comes up, it's never cool. And I just spend a day listening to him. So that's my tribute to him. But I mostly enjoy him when I get to sit in this room and play drums, and I get to replicate what he does.
And not to be morbid, but on your deathbed, if I came up to say one last question, what would be the biggest achievement in your life? What would it be?
Mm. Done a lot of good things. Raised three kids. I got three beautiful grandsons. I've had a perfect life. Um, I'm not rich, but I have stuff that people don't have and skills that people don't have. So it's never lost on me. And I'd say my gravestone will read, "Here lies a guy who had a perfect life."
Gus, we've had a long relationship and you know my history, but I'm rich just fucking hanging out with you. No, seriously, people just dude, the new record when Seth and I we were in, like I shared that Florida photo and I'm like, holy fuck, these guys are just like best album. I know it's only February, but it's just awesome. Absolutely awesome. Tell Rob, I know you probably can't answer this question because, and I love talking to you, but Rob's the really shy guy, right?
He is, man. He really is. Rob's shy in general, and he's always been shy. I'm more of me and Watts. We're the fucking mouthpieces of this band. Even Rico. I think both of those guys are just naturally like that. They shy away from the press. They'd rather see the two of us do it, or even me do it. And they don't ever complain when I do, and they get to watch all my interviews and they don't say shit. So I'm happy.
But I love when I meet all you guys. It's heritage. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Listen, I was probably the most nervous about having this interview with you all week. Is yeah, what you guys mean to us, and it's a big deal talking to you tonight. And I know you're gonna splash this up, and we're incredibly grateful to know you and to be a part of the the BWBK family for fuck man, it's been forever,
You know. Well,
ever.
you wouldn't be here if you sucked.
No, I know. Fuck, man. I mean, the whole idea around sacrifice was always to fucking kick everybody's ass, and I've always had that attitude. Don't worry, and it's never gonna fucking change. Maybe they're gonna put that on my gravestone. He just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. Dude, thank you. Awesome.
Well, my
Great
pleasure.
interview. Kevin,
Thanks, Tim.
we'll chat soon, okay?
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.